So today I'm in a process of writing a newspaper, and I'm calling it the Old Times, not like the Times, but the Old Times. Um, and I've got my computer, so I'm making the Old Times paper as told by God, but in brackets. I've also added that these stories might just be lies, because the Word of God technically is not necessarily the truth. It's only the truth of what she knows at the time based on evidence. And yeah, when I was taking pictures, I kind of realized that the book started off with this. Okay, I saw the Adam and Eve picture and I was just like, that's nonsense. And then I saw the bang and I said, I don't believe in that. So I didn't take pictures. And then I went straight onto this page, which I'm kind of editing now. But it's making me realize that I have no idea the difference between the Milky Way and the universe. And I feel like because I don't actually know, I know the Milky Way, like there's that like mash of whiteness that I don't even know what is that mash of whiteness. I don't know. And then it's kind of making me feel like maybe I'm getting confused between the universe and the Milky Way, because according to Google, there are 3 billion stars in the Milky Way. Stars are technically suns because they have light, and this light doesn't come from the light doesn't come from a source. It's not a reflection of a source. It is a sun basically. So when they say stars, really they're actually talking about suns, because technically that's where they're getting their light from. The moon reflects from the sun's light, and we see the moon because it's the reflection of the sun's light. But technically, when we look at stars, we're not getting a reflection of it. I mean, unless the Milky Way has like a giant sun in it, and the stars are all just reflections of a giant sun, then technically the stars are basically suns. And I don't think I've done billions of timelines. I mean, that's a very, very scary thought. If I have done billions, I don't believe it. It's not the truth. I don't believe it. And I think I've only done about 70, which actually makes me quite young. It makes me young in comparison to how old the universe is. The Milky Way, according to this, well, because this is actually a little bit confusing, because it talks about the Big Bang, and it also says that the Big Fat Bang happened 14 billion years ago, which that's not very old at all. Like, that's really not very old at all. So I think that even this book, or people that talk about the difference between the Milky Way and the universe, are getting confused, because I think the Big Bang is supposed to be the big where like the universe is formed, but I feel like they're actually confusing the universe with the Milky Way. I mean, I can maybe is the Milky Way. I'm trying to say it. If I can say it, then I feel like there might be truth to it. So the Milky Way might have just been a ginormous rock that bursted. I mean, if the Milky Way looks like how they say it looks, with lots of stars all sort of coming forward and into one sort of position, then yeah, it would make sense that the Milky Way was formed by a Big Bang. I don't know how long ago. 14 billion doesn't sound very old. That sounds very, very young. But at the same time, if you were to ask me how old I was, I don't know. But 14 billion kind of does sound maybe accurate. I don't know. That is very, very old. I said I'm billions of years old. But yeah, if that is the Milky Way, if the Big Bang of the Milky Way happened 14 billion years ago, I don't believe that there's a Big Bang of the universe. And you know how Christians kind of get confused between the fake Christ versus the real Christ. And I feel like in a similar way, I've been getting confused between the Milky Way and the universe. And they also said there's supposed to be um, 7 billion galaxies. But is a Milky Way a galaxy? A Milky Way is a galaxy. What is a galaxy? What is a galaxy? I'm getting confused between universe, Milky Way, and galaxy. Milky Way is the name of our galaxy. So the Milky Way is our galaxy. So the Milky Way and the galaxy is the same thing, but it is our galaxy. Um, um, I guess I'm trying to get clues from things. I know that I have entered Miss Galaxy pageant, but I also know that I didn't get anywhere. I know that the president who of of America run the sort of Miss Universe pageant, um, and I don't know. I guess I was thinking maybe why did I think I was Miss Universe? Because well, one, I don't actually know what the universe is, and the difference between the Milky Way and the universe seem. I know the universe is really, really, really big, and I know that wherever when I find planets, I know I have billions of options. But if there's supposed to be billions of stars in the Milky Way, then I do have billions of options. And if I've done 70, if I've done 70 timelines, the first timeline, I'm trying to think about Nelly Furtado and that image, and do I think that image was on the Milky Way? I'm trying to think about the image of what the Milky Way looks like versus the image of many different galaxies. I don't know. It's very confusing. Because I've got a picture here of all the. Where did you get these pictures from? I mean, these are not things like that's not like Earth. That's like it's really it's complicated. And when I'm trying to think of Earth as itself, I find it easy to focus on UK and America because it's easy to focus. And then you might ask me questions like, why am I not interested in all the other countries, Indonesia or India or Pakistan or there's a huge number of places that I've not visited and don't have any interest in visiting, mostly because I see it as being quite a dangerous, dirty place, and it's not very nice at all. And when I think of the experience that I've had on other timelines, it's definitely different. But at the same time, I feel like I have a huge amount of options, hence why I would have sort of said universe. Um, but yeah, I think I'm getting confused between universe and Milky Way because according to the Milky Way has um, billions of stars in it, and therefore um, I think I need to drop the universe thing. I think also um, Britney Spears had that universe. I don't know. She started talking about I don't know Miss Universe and stuff, but at the same time yeah, that's sick wishes. And seriously, if there's 300 stars, like suns, if there's 300 suns in the Milky Way, to think that I have not only made timelines within these 300 suns, um, but also, I don't know though. I no, not 300, 3 billion suns. If there's three, I need to look this up again. Let's try this. How many, how many stars in the Milky Way? Um, yeah, 10 billion stars. No, 100 billion stars. There's supposed to be 100 billion stars in the Milky Way, and therefore, I that's plenty. That's more than enough. 100 billion stars for me and my kids. I think that is more than I need. I do think I have a sister, in which case that means that I wouldn't be the first in my Milky in I hate the fucking word Milky Way though. Why would I call it Milky Way? I don't like the name Milky Way. Fuck, it sounds like I'm milking a cow or something. Why would I call it milk? I don't even want to say that word. I want to let me change it. I don't want to call it this one. I like the Galaxy chocolate bar. I don't like. I eat the Milky Way, but it's a horrible name. It's a really horrible name. And you definitely can't do a beauty pageant and call it Miss Milky Way. I mean, God, that sounds ridiculous. I don't know. I am confused when it comes. Is this even the truth? Like, is this even the truth? Like, how do you where's you getting these images from? How are you going to guess that there's 200 or 200 million galaxies as in things like the Milky Way being a cluster of 3 billion stars. How are you getting this information? I don't understand. Like, maybe it's the truth, but I don't know. I want to know what the truth is, and I don't want to believe lies, and I don't want to tell you lies. But I just feel like it's just way, way, way too big that I can't. I don't know to believe it because there's so many lies. People tell so many lies, and I don't know. Does that mean that I don't even believe in the universe? That I believe that the universe is the galaxy, and that's all I want to accept? I don't know. I've not thought about these questions because I've got too many other things to think about. But then again, I'm also bored, so maybe I should think about it. I don't know. But if people are going to look for me for answers because I'm God, they would expect me to know these things, and I don't. I don't know these things, and I don't want to give the wrong information. I want to know why scientists think that there are 200 billion places like the Milky Way being a cluster of 300 billion suns, basically. I don't know. A part of me just doesn't actually believe that. A part of me doesn't believe that. No, what is this? So how would you even get that picture? I mean, this just looks like I'm looking up in. I don't know. I don't know what to think. I feel like people are just have they just formed like their own religion or something? Like the Bible, they just created a bunch of nonsense, and I don't know. I know I don't like the name Milky Way, and I feel like if I'm if the galaxy is just um 300 300 stars, why would I name it something that I don't like calling it? It doesn't make sense. I created English language. I would have got you to call it. I like the name universe. I don't like the name Milky Way, and I feel like Milky Way is just like the Milky Way kid, like a fictional character or something. And so I I'm tempted to feel like I want to just abandon the belief in the idea that there could be billions of. I want to. I want to abandon that belief. I believe that there are 250 billion suns with planets going around. Um, was this all formed by some sort of Milky Way that might have had a big bang? There might have been a big bang. If the Big Bang is just a big cluster of suns, but how would something so big, um, how would you know is the question. You've got pictures of the Milky Way. How do you know the Milky Way looks like that? I don't understand how you would come to that conclusion as to this is what. And I hate that freaking name. Can we call it something else? Just the way or something. I don't know. I don't know. I don't like that name, and I don't. I like the name universe, and I feel like I can focus on the idea that there are 250 billion stars that potentially are just like Earth with the sun. I can focus on that. I can concentrate on that, and I want to call that the universe. The idea that that is only just a small part of something a gillion times bigger. I can't do that. But then again, as a human, I feel a similar way about Earth. It's easy to focus on it's easy to focus on um, on England and America because I like the films. I like the American films. So it's easy to focus on a couple of places, but the idea of focusing on the biggest the whole picture of Earth, I can't do that. And maybe even as a god, maybe I can't focus on whatever the religion is that of the millions of galaxies being things like the Milky Way. I want to scrap that. I don't know what there is. Can we stick to just believing in something that's like real, which is the universe? Scrap the name Milky Way, call it universe. That is the universe. That is what I'm calling it. And if there's anything outside that, well, I don't know. And I feel like my higher self doesn't know. I mean, I believe that there's 250 billion suns like this one, and I've done 70, and the first one, which was 70, are any kids alive from that first planet? I don't know, but I know a lot of them would have gone on to make um, to make timelines of their own, and I don't know if their kids are alive, but maybe their kids are, and their kids are. So, you know, the idea of um, 250 billion suns, similar to our sun, that makes sense. I feel like that is my universe. That is what I would call the universe, and I want to scrap that horrible Milky Way. Now it's fine as a chocolate bar, but I much prefer Galaxy. Although I prefer Galaxy with caramel. The Galaxy without caramel is just a bit plain for me. But a lot of people seem to like the plain one for some reason. Um, but yeah, Maltesers. I like Maltesers as well. Mars is, I think that's more for guys. But yeah, I don't know. I want to in my belief, the universe is just the cluster um, of of five of 250 billion stars that are like suns, and that is what my universe is. And anything bigger than that is not something I can contemplate or even think about. And I don't think I was the first in this 200 billion. But I don't think the one that made me, I don't think there was that much before her, unless it's an extension of something bigger than that. But I don't know. I can't think about something bigger than that. Um, and I still don't know about this Big Bang thing. I don't know. You have to show me evidence. If you want me to believe in the Big Bang, you have to show me how you've come up with that conclusion.